Good evening, all.
Hi, Jay.
Marianne, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Hi, Michelle. What is this? 3:31. All right.
Or 5:31 maybe.
The date.
Yeah, the date.
I thought I
not
meant the time. I'm
5:31.
like,
Yeah,
Jay,
I lost 2 months.
you're a little off.
I got lost 2 months there.
Got it.
Yeah. Well,
Not seeing anyone else in the waiting room, but I have 5:30. I'm guessing Dean's not going to join us tonight, Jay. He must be en
yes,
route.
I guess so. Yeah. Takes a long time when you're hitchhiking to Florida.
Well, he's very fiscally
He's
conscientious.
looking for some adventure.
Right. So we'll call the meeting to order at 5:30 of the March 31st, 2021 Board of Selectmen's meeting. I would make a motion that we accept the minutes of March 18th,
I'll
2021.
second that.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. No communications, appointments and resignations. With regret, we accept the resignation of Tyler Hazo from the Conservation Commission and thanks for all his efforts on behalf of the town and wish him the best of luck going
Yeah.
forward.
I'll second that with those sentiments.
First selectmen's report. So a little bit about COVID in the state and in the town. In spite of the fact that, vaccinations are ramping up and they're becoming more widely available, we are seeing an uptick in numbers, both in the state and the town. No reported cases this week, but 2 weeks ago, 5 cases, and last week, 7 cases. So, we continue to urge people to keep all protocols in place, masks, social distancing, try to limit travel where possible. The state has lifted the travel mandate, but still has it as guidance that people, if you don't need to travel out of state, please don't. If we hang in there a little bit longer and get a wider portion of the population vaccinated, we're going to be in much better shape if people could just be patient.
Jim, do we know, can you just give an update on getting those folks who wanted to be vaccinated? People still calling, or do we know if most of them, what were you doing, 65 and over? I think calling, we're all in.
Yeah, we actually dropped down, Jay, to the more broad group, and now starting tomorrow, we're into the 16 and above. So our phone callers are still working with anyone who needs that kind of assistance. And they've worked miracles. People that have had issues trying to get an appointment have called up, and our phone callers have been great with getting people connected.
So I wanted to bring it up. I heard that's great. So that's fantastic. So, all right.
Sort of relative to that. So right now with the 16 and older, we're working with the Department of Health and all of our local school campuses, both public schools and our independent schools, to get the kids vaccinated. So what we're looking at is closed clinics that are only available to the student population of our school systems here in town, in Region 12, of course. And that's very encouraging. So right now, I met the other day with the heads of school. They're compiling a list of individual students that want to get the vaccine. So 16 and 17-year-olds will get the Pfizer, and 18-year-olds can get the Pfizer, Moderna, or J&J. What has been requested from the Department of Health is a list of people not eligible, but people that are willing to get the vaccine and accept the appointment. What's been happening is when you get a list of eligible people, it's not representative of those who are actually going to go and get the vaccine. And that creates problems with the Department of Health because they've gotten too many vaccines. So they want to make sure they're accurate with, people that are going to show up and actually get the vaccine. For example, if Region 12 has 200 kids that are eligible, maybe only 160 will get the vaccine.
Oh.
Those are the numbers they're looking for. So we've been working with the schools, All-Star Transportation, Department of Health to get that closed clinic coordinated. And I think it's going to be very helpful in getting all of our students vaccinated.
And they obviously they're getting enough vaccine to do it. Is it all going to be at one place, or each school's doing it separately, or?
No, we'll coordinate with Department of Health. For example, what we'll do is we'll take all gunnery kids or Frederick Gun kids down to John Pettibone School,
Oh, okay, we're doing,
their
okay.
clinic, then we'll
gotcha.
take all Chappaqua kids, and kind of do it that way.
Great.
So,
When,
yeah.
when do they expect to be able to do that? How soon?
Well, it's going to be no later than last week in April, first week in May, but possibly could be in the next 2 weeks.
Great,
So
great.
that's kind of what we're shooting for. If the heads of school, we get those numbers back and get them into DPH, that'll help expedite things.
And yeah, I was just thinking of it. So I think I saw my first gunnery kids the other day crossing the street. I hadn't seen any kids at all. Have they had, I thought they had kids on campus, but.
They're just recently back, Jay.
Oh, okay, all
So
right.
and it's funny, the question came up and it was a great question for any town that has independent schools. What are the kids that are boarders, are they considered Connecticut residents? And in the governor's call last week, he made it very clear, if they're boarding at one of our schools, they're Connecticut residents, no matter where they're from. So
That's great. That's great.
yeah, and that kind of facilitated a push with DPH to say, well, our independent schools typically leave for the summer session earlier than our public schools.
Yeah, good point.
We wanted to make sure, wait a minute, I've got some people in the waiting room. I just want to let them in. We wanted to make sure that everyone, all of the students who wanted a vaccine were around for the second dose.
Yep.
That was critical. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Hopefully by the next meeting, I'll be able to say, look, we've got a clinic scheduled.
Great.
Go. Hold on 1 second.
Jim, it looks like
Yeah,
you're admitting a whole bunch of
Okay, we should be up and running now again. Can everyone hear me?
yep. Now we got to unmute ourselves, and you have to allow us to do video, Jim.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let's see. I think everybody should be able to access their video,
All right, let me see now. Yep, there we go.
right?
I guess it,
Do that. Oh, hold on.
There you go, Mary, you got it.
Got it. Thank you.
Hopefully I didn't remove anybody who was supposed to be here. I just picked the names that were not familiar.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so where were we?
You were finishing up on
On
the
first
schools.
selectmen's report. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's where we're at with the schools. And just a quick point. So yesterday, the legislature allowed that the governor's executive orders will remain in place until May 20th. Most likely, according to CCM, they'll remain in place until the end of the fiscal year. So that's put up a couple of questions. We've got Board of Ed elections. Obviously, we have our Board of Ed budget and our own municipal budget to pass. I reached out to Curtis Reed and Barbara Henry. Barbara said they're going to try, barring any huge changes between now and then, to allow a town in-person meeting to pass both budgets. So, you know, the option is there. The executive order does provide for that if you can do it safely, you can do it. But if not, you're certainly, we would do what we did last year with our Board of Finance.
Right, that's for us. I don't remember, and the school board, did they approve, they had the option to approve their budget on their own as well, right?
No, they couldn't, Jay. Each Board of Finance approved it.
Okay, so what about the election though?
My sense is we would put the school budget, just like we always have, at a referendum and attach the names of the candidates to the referendum.
Right.
I think that's the safest bet. I spoke with the registrars today. They're confident after November that they can certainly, you know, handle a budget referendum.
So, and so Roxbury and Bridgewater would do the same today. I don't know if they have elections this year, but I assume they have.
Yeah, they've got, I believe, one member up for election. So they would do a similar thing. And it's ironic because Region 12 put out their budget packet. And at the bottom of it, it says May, blah, 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 referendum from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. So,
Yeah.
you know.
So we don't plan to do that then. That's going to happen.
Yeah. I'm not so sure about how we're going to do the municipal budget yet, because as you know,
Yeah.
a referendum is different. You pass through, you have control of
Right.
the number of people.
Right.
You know, we'll certainly have the public forum in terms of a virtual forum for the town budget like we did last year.
Yeah.
But we'll kind of make a decision going from there. Of course, this thing changes daily, so.
Yeah. And Jim, speaking of the budget, since you're on that, I did look at dates, and actually we meet the next time on the 15th of April, and the Board of Finance meet on the 19th, that following Monday. So we should approve the final version of the budget on that at the latest at our 15th meeting. And then the Board of Finance, I think we do the presentation then on the 19th to the Board of Finance.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Any last minute changes we'll do well before the 15th.
Right. Okay. So that's still on track, but just the questions are, when do we hold try to hold a public meeting to pass the budget like we usually do, or do we do it virtually at this point?
Correct. And my concern with virtual is, well, there's a lot of them, but not the least of which is it's very difficult when somebody is on a cell phone to identify them as an elector.
Right.
I'm not sure the hurdles involved in that, but.
You know, we've had some meetings where it was the Board of Selectmen and a couple of, and the moderator and a couple other people. And then we've had times where there's been 200 or 300 people down there. So I wouldn't expect it this year, but how do you know?
Yeah, and if you have some kind of type of forum like that where people can get out of the house, it may be just an entertainment or a socialization thing, you know?
How many people, I guess we could find out what the capacity is. I mean, we know what the capacity is based on and what the governor would allow based on that.
Exactly. Current guidelines, I think, are 50% indoors of capacity. So
I think that room holds what, a couple hundred people sitting in
Yeah, it would be a
chairs?
little over 100, Jay, for 50%.
Half of it. Okay, yeah, that's about what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it'd be nice to hold it in person, but
it would. Exactly. I agree.
we'll have to
There, I
think
must be looking at the wrong, I must be looking at the old agenda. Where did we have the RFPs?
Under old, Under old business?
Yeah.
Perfect. That's what we're into next is old business.
All right.
The only RFP we got back was from Cardinal Engineering,
Surprise.
and we'll open that now. Cardinal Engineering proposes a total fee, according to all specs, of $25,000. So we'll discuss that at a later date.
Yep.
New business. Let's put the town beach COVID protocols first, if we could.
Okay.
Again, this is a very fluid thing. We're going to play it by ear. We had talked a little bit about, there's always been sort of an informal thing that when the beach closed, there were some residents that liked to go there. They knew there was no lifeguard on duty, that type of thing. I would like to offer that up again this year. We weren't able to do it last year, but my sense is by beach season, it will certainly reevaluate closer to, but by beach season, we should be in a much better position. And I'm not trying to be overly optimistic, but I want to allow these people that sometimes it's too crowded during the day. They don't have an opportunity to go there. They're not as comfortable there to utilize the beach. We closed it off completely last year after hours, is to essentially leave it open without a lifeguard.
So what was what did we, remind me, Jim, how we set things up last year with COVID going on? What did we do?
Sure. So what we did was we had a number of people access the beach. When that limit was hit, we closed the beach off. We had our attendants do that. What we did at the time was, again, we took that after hours opportunity, and the fact that we were at the real peak of the pandemic in May, June, July, none of us were comfortable leaving the beach unsecured, so to speak, without an attendant in place. I think we're going to be in a different position this year by come June and July.
Well, that'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd like to give those people that opportunity because they don't feel comfortable in that large crowded setting.
Are we anticipating still having a limited number of people at the beach as well, though, this summer?
I think we got to look at it a little bit closer to, Jay, and see what kind of vaccination rate we have. There's suggestions and talk of, people carrying around their vaccine cards. I mean, I know I keep mine in my wallet. It says I've got 2. I'm happy to, show the ID and say, here it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But some people may not. And in consulting with the town attorney, you can ask, you just can't, it doesn't mean anything. Essentially, you can't enforce it. You can't say.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole big thing going on now.
Right.
I mean, I understand, but I think whatever. We don't have any, we can't pass our own rules. We have to go with whatever the state says we can do. So.
Yeah, we're bound by those guidelines.
But last year, the limit on the beach, what do you remember what the limit was? Was there a number? I assume it was a number we must have come up with.
Yeah, it wasn't a percentage, it was a number, because what we had to do was sort of measure out and gain the square footage of the area and then kind of take it from there. So it was a specific number, Jay.
Would you think we could increase that this year in order, given some of the other lesser restrictions and more people being vaccinated and all that? Or are you thinking of using the same basic, number that we used last year?
No, I would absolutely say, I'm optimistic that we will be able to increase it. And we can still, the beauty of this is we can still leave certain protocols in place. If it's, a cohort or face masks or whatever the case may be, there's a lot more we can still maintain that doesn't restrict.
I mean, I'd like to see us start and try to let, people behave properly. And
Sure.
if things don't go well, we'll have to do something. But I would certainly like to see us be able to start giving people the option if it's, things continue to move like we are now, that we open it up more.
Yep.
But again,
My sense, Jay, is if come Memorial Day, we've had 3 or 4 weeks of excellent or no numbers, vaccinations across the state or the town have increased to a dramatic level. I agree 100%. We're going to have to base it on the information.
that's just a question I never thought of. I know the state gives us numbers on people that have been tested positive, but are they giving us numbers about of people who've been vaccinated by town?
Yeah, when I reach out to, and I'm going to have to do it tomorrow because we're not here Friday. Tomorrow I'll reach out to DPH. Our last numbers were oh gosh, it was a ton of our 75 and older, vast majority. I forget if it was in the 90% range had received their
that's-
vaccination.
That's
Then you
great.
were, at the time, we had just opened up to the 64 and over, and that was in the upper 60% range. So I expect those numbers to, obviously get better.
Yeah, that's great, Jim. I don't remember whether you've reported on that when you've done your weekly newsletter about COVID, but I think it's great to let people know that people in our town are getting vaccinated and doing that. So
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the other things I just wanted to mention quickly, and I should have done this in my report, we met with Region 12. Spring sports are starting to open up now. Very popular, obviously, with the families of the student athletes, but also with the community. And I'll cite baseball as just, in this town, the tradition is unparalleled. So what we did was Kevin Smith, our highway director, and I met with Matt Parachi, the athletic director, Megan Bennett, our superintendent, and Scott Worker, our baseball coach, in an effort to try and keep things safe, not just for the kids, but for the community members. We've set up, I just don't want people to be surprised. They're going to see some snow fencing, some protocols in place, some chairs. Kids aren't going to utilize the dugout. There's all different protocols and signage we're going to have over there to make sure that people that want to see the game can see the games, but it's done in a safe manner.
So we will, because I had read somewheres that I thought they were not looking to let other than parents, attend the games, but we're going to be able to try to do that. Let the public, come down as well.
We're going to try and accommodate that. So I'll give you an example. We removed all the bleachers. That's already been done. And what we're doing is setting out chair locations for the spectators, but we wanted to accommodate those people. Washington, like I said, has a huge, long tradition with the baseball. We've got people that have been watching games for 40, 50 years. We want to make sure they can do it in a safe manner. So that was kind of the goal we were after.
No, I think that's great, Jim. I just thought I don't know where I read this, but I thought I had read somewhere that they were going to be restricted to, maybe that was more the CIAC or something talking about it that I read in the paper, but I'm glad to hear we're going to do that. It's a great, I like going down there. It's great. Yeah.
It is nice. And I didn't want to move off the beach before I gave Diane an opportunity if she had any thoughts or concerns. Diane?
No, I'm just, other towns like Warren has social distancing, and we never had that at the beach last summer. So when we tried to go down there, it was like all over the place. And I am concerned, I would like to swim this summer, so I don't know how. I mean, I've listened to you say that let's wait till we get closer to beach time, and I'm in agreement with that. But I would like to know if people were vaccinated. I mean, even though you can't request that, I mean, you can't order that. Wouldn't that be sort of helpful to some people who are worried about being exposed? Because even though we've had the shot, you still got 10% chance of getting it.
Sure. No, I understand. And what we can do, Diane, is especially, I thought the attendants last year were monitoring social distancing on the people on the beach in the grass area.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
Okay.
So I went down there half a dozen times and there was no social distancing. And I just like not doing it. Yeah, there was nothing at all.
Okay. We'll talk to Parks and Rec and sort of reaffirm that absolutely has to be. That's just the way that is. But like I said, Diane, we'll try to leave it open those after hours times. And I know, we'll set up the social distancing so people feel comfortable swimming.
Yeah, sure. If you could set that up, then that would be great. I don't know if they tape it in Warren. I don't know what they do, but if there's just some sort of way to do that rather than have people just clamoring all over the place, that would be great.
Understood. Thanks, Diane.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Transfer station. So we've got a lot of things going on. Just to kind of bring people up to speed, for years, we had contracted out to have the station managed, so to speak, by an outside company. As of July 1st, we'll be doing it in-house, so that won't be happening anymore. I've instructed all the commercial haulers, the people that pick up solid waste in town from our residents and our businesses, that they will no longer be able to use our facilities. They're going to have to haul directly to wherever, Covanta, wherever they go, Danbury, Waterbury facilities. The goal in that is quite a few things. Is obviously to cut down on our tonnage and tipping fees, but also to cut down on our hauling fees, because we contract to have all our municipal waste, recycling, demolition, scrap, all that has to be paid to be hauled out of the facility to the various places that it goes. So those are just a few first steps. part of the rationale is we don't own the land up there and our lease doesn't expire for another 2 years. So we don't want to make yet infrastructure improvements when we're not certain of if we're going to be there or not. So there's a lot of moving parts. Carol has agreed to join us. She's got a lot of experience in municipal waste and knows a lot about it. Carol, do you want to share any thoughts with us?
Sure. Just to let you know, I can't get on video, so if you don't care, I don't care.
Okay.
As you know, I'm an attorney, and what I used to do, I represented one of the biggest garbage companies in the state. So I'm pretty familiar with the business, even though I'm a woman.
And we can see you now, Carol, so just so you know.
So what grabbed my attention is, I don't know, it was about a month ago, I heard someone say that they were no longer collecting fees at the transfer station. And so that kind of perked my interest. And then I heard a couple weeks after that, that you were going to wait until July 1st. And it just set off some things in my head. So let me just tell you what I'm thinking about. Your ordinance is very clear that it's only residential that is to go into the transfer station. All matter deposited must originate within the town and be residential. So that's the sometime, I don't know when, because of the town clause, I wasn't able to do the research I wanted to, but special permits for out-of-town contractors may be obtained. I don't understand that, and I don't know why that's there, but maybe you can explain it. The other thing is I heard someone say that if we were to make American Waste start bringing any commercial, or anybody bring commercial to Bristol or wherever they're going to bring it, that we may not meet our minimums. And in the garbage business, that's never a problem. Never have a problem meeting a minimum. The other thing that was said was that if we had American Waste start immediately, this would have an adverse effect on their customers. Well, the truth of the matter is you have a bifurcated system in Washington where my service that I get from the town is the privilege to use the transfer station. If I want somebody to pick up my garbage, I have to pay them separately. So it's a system that's not used. I don't know any other place, any other town that uses that system, but you have a dual system here where I could either bring my garbage to the transfer station or have somebody pick it up. So it's not going to affect those people if their garbage gets raised. I've been sort of, and people like me that bring their garbage to the dump have kind of been subsidizing these fees. So that I don't think should be a problem for the town. So what I did was I did an informal thing, Jim, and I really appreciate you letting me go on about this. I did a little informal survey, and what I found was that the town has mixed commercial and residential, and the probability of those being commingled is very high. Mm-hmm. Because of the way it's very, I mean, you've got a commercial right next to a residential, and the temptation is to commingle it. So that I see as a problem, Jim. The other thing I looked at was the budget, and it's $500,000 for the sanitation. And using the figures that were on the website, the population in our town, in 2020, they figured at 3,344. And a figure I got from planning was 34% of those people, this is their second home. So we're talking about a small amount of people. And I figured between 0.57 tons and 0.87 tons is what a household would use in a year. If you multiply that all out, it's going to come out a lot less than that figure I first gave you of 300,000. And the other thing is I'm on the planning commission, and I know we're doing our COPD, and so we have to consider the transfer station in that. And also on the sustainability committee, I've been to a million workshops and I went to a summit, and we are right on the cusp now of going state of the art. We're towns, I'm going to bring to the sustainability committee what I learned at different towns have done, but we're on the cusp of net zero and solar and all of that. So what I can offer is that I have people that, even though I've been retired a long time, I know a lot of people in the business who are experts. They know the business inside out, and they could help answer any questions. I have a suggestion, and this is probably a little far out, Jim, but I'm maybe just expounding here. We could close the dump for 2 years, give a contract, have a bids go out and have a contract to do all the residential places in the town. We don't have to worry about commercial because they have to go where they have to go. If we have somebody pick up all the residential, we could maybe work on the transfer station. I know we talked about compactors, and I was a little wrong. I was going back 20 years. They are more efficient. They are cleaner. They are expensive. And also you need the 3-tier electrical to get in there to run them. So I have this fantasy that we could buy the land next door. We could put a solar farm. We could electrify the whole system.
Yeah.
And we could make it really clean. We could do this. I know there's a spirit farm. You could put a modular up there. You could put charging stations. You could have coffee. What I'm thinking is, and my brother was in a business, people like to go to the dump. Okay. And I know Jay was, against closing it. So Wednesdays.
No, I love going to the dump.
Wednesdays and Sundays, you have the dump open, and we could do it in a safe way. The other thing about compactor, as an attorney, I'm always worried about liability. And I've had cases where people have fallen into the chute, where they've fallen into the compactor. We have to be careful because they're very dangerous. And there's a lot of ways to do it. Just one example, real quick, is you could have a truck at the bottom of the hill collecting what they bring, and then have them put it in the compactor. Or make sure your operator is very well trained, because it was an operator, I think, in Thomaston that just fell in the can. So those are some of the ideas I have. And I think you have to stop them immediately. I do. I think the town's losing money that we don't need to lose. And what I observed was there's about 3 small haulers that do a few commercial stops, and then you have Gunnery that they have a lot of roll-offs. Those are all big companies. They just take the roll-off wherever they take it. And it looks like the spa might have American Waste. I wasn't sure. They really hide the containers, which is very interesting and good, I suppose. But anyway, that's kind of where I'm at.
Carol, I really appreciate you bringing all this to the table. It's a lot to digest.
I know.
And I would say, you made the comment that, well, maybe this is a little far out. I would say nothing's off the table. When you mentioned purchase of that land, that was my first go-to last year. When that didn't work out, I tried to get a long-term lease, and basically it was just wait until the lease is over, which I respect. We'll do that. But my goal would be to buy that land. Absolutely. We've talked about a solar array up there, a variety of things. And there's all kinds of things. I mean, I'll go back through the recording and address each of your points, and then we can get together again on it. But one of the things I'm concerned about with throwing these companies out right away is we've got 2,200 households in town. Without knowing, there could be upwards of 1,500 households that utilize this service. And there's no gauging the impact on those residents, whether they're seniors, they could be lower income, of what any hauling company, if we throw them out now, your $25 to $30 a month could be $50 a month. It could be, and I realize we're losing money, We have been for
I
years.
wasn't recommending throwing them out because they have a contract with you, right?
They do not.
They don't have a contract to, I noticed that they pick up the town hall, they pick up the fire station, they pick up the well, that's post office is federal, but they do the town buildings, right?
Sure, but it's just like, Carol, if they were to pick up your trash or my trash, it's simply an account billable every month. You could end it at any time.
Okay, so there's no agreement with the town.
Right. The only agreement I have with All American is picking up recycling for all the residents, curbside recycling. That's the only place that we have an agreement on the price, you know, that kind of thing. But, you know, to your point, to me, the whole thing needed looked at and revamped. I didn't come across one aspect of the operation of the transfer station that didn't need a serious
Well, yeah.
a redo, if you will, a do-over, so to
Well,
speak.
what I saw there, Jim, is you had a whole list of things that people had, like construction material, you have to pay $25 and this, and it's all cash. You know, that just lends itself to abuse. And as far as the people, I think that American Waste can be talked to, and they wouldn't do something like that to you. I don't think they would raise people's prices to be vindictive at all.
No.
I don't see that happening.
And Jim had did some work with talking to the area towns as to what they're charging. And it's only, what is it, Jim, $5 or so more a month in the surrounding towns than what they're charging us right now, our residents, something like that.
Yeah, between $5 and $8 a month more when they're not allowed to utilize a municipal transfer station. So we
Right.
tried to do our homework, not only in seeing how other transfer stations are constructed and operated, but also to see how are you handling your MSW? How are you handling all that solid waste? Are you allowing, now some do, some don't. Warren, for example, doesn't even have a transfer station.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the other thing I said to you. You could get out of the garbage business altogether.
Yep.
You know, and it's a lot more complicated than people imagine it is.
Oh, I've learned more about trash than I ever thought I wanted to know,
More than you ever
Carol. I mean,
wanted to know. Me too. Believe me, I know more than I ever wanted to know.
Yeah.
Carol, if it's okay with you, I would love to sort of bring you in on our little discussions about this. I mean, I think you have great insights and I'd
Yeah.
love to hear more.
Well, and I
Not
think if you need people to talk to, I know people that are experts on compactors, you know, experts
That'd be
on
great.
solid waste. And just one more thing, I think you could get bids and have them do all the residents if you wanted to take time to work out a new transfer station or
Well,
close
yeah.
it or whatever you
It's
want.
interesting.
But
Yep.
I would be happy to do that.
Well,
Thank you so
Carol,
much, Carol.
If I could
Thank
just
you.
throw in there, Carol, we have been looking at trying to put some compactors in there sooner than later, even though we don't own the land. Our thought was that we could take them with us if we have to leave there, you know, if we did. So I'd be interested because we did some looking at this for a number of years, Jim, but we're no experts in those things. So some suggestions about companies we should make sure we talk to, that would be great.
Yeah.
And to
But
your
what
point,
about-
Carol,
What
Eh,
about getting electricity up there? That was a
Well,
question they asked me right away.
Well,
yeah, we wouldn't run three-phase. To your point, Carol, is astronomical. It would
Yeah.
cost well over $250,000 to run three-phase up there.
I
Yeah.
was told that.
What they have now is single-phase converters. When what I did was I went to the different transfer stations that utilize these to say, you know, how's your experience been?
yeah.
And they've all ranged from very good, and I think the worst was they're all right. You know,
So
so
there
you
are-
kind of, but yeah, there's
Well,
all
they're
kinds of,
mechanical, so they have problems.
right. To Jay's point, anything we're doing of a capital nature up there now, we want to make sure is mobile, if you will, in the event that we can't structure a deal at the end of 2 years. I'm confident we will, because it's advantageous to the current owner, and it'd be advantageous to us to have us take ownership. That's just the way it is. But
I think at some point they have to be pushed off the dime and.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we're hoping when the 2 years is up, that at the latest anyway, we would love to get something done earlier, obviously, but
yeah, absolutely. We'll have something in place before that time comes.
Okay,
But Carol,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
you're
Thank you.
welcome.
And I
Yeah.
will definitely be reaching back. You're going to be sorry you contacted me.
Yeah,
welcome to the third committee
Be
you're
like
on.
Michelle getting me to go to workshops. I have to miss golf to go to her workshop.
Oh, you look at Jay. He just found a
Oh,
golf partner. I
Michelle.
don't see either one of you.
I don't want to ever hear that word.
I told him I play
All
Bulls
winter, I'm a-
once a year.
That's right. I'm taking you up on that in the fall.
All right.
So safe to say we can only have committee meetings in the winter.
That's right.
Or at night. That's right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything from visitors? Dan, Howard? I can unmute you, I think.
Or Michelle.
I'm good.
Or
thank you.
Michelle, I'm sorry. I don't view Michelle as a visitor.
All
Thank you for asking, but no, I don't have anything.
Okay.
right, Dan.
Jim was too afraid to unmute me.
I
Never.
gotta work on that. I really gotta change the perception.
Never.
All right, folks. Well, thank you. Everybody
All
have a
right.
wonderful holiday if we don't see it. Jay, when's Passover?
It started the other day. Couple
It
of,
did.
yeah. So
Everybody
a
have
little tough
wonderful
with family
holidays.
coming around. No family here this time around. So
No, quiet.
yeah, pretty quiet this time, but hopefully, as they say, maybe next year in Israel,
Yeah.
So
This will be the last one where we're hunkered down.
that's right. That's right.
Hopefully.
I
All
would
right.
make a motion, we adjourn.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Take care, everybody. Thank
Good
you.
night.